Welcome back to another episode of the YOLO Revolution podcast. Today is a very special episode for me because I have a dear friend, client, collaborator, so many different things. I couldn't think of the word for that. And her name is Akeisha DeBaat. We met many years ago and we have worked in many capacities together. And one of the latest is something I'm really excited to share with you. It is a clothing line that Akeisha has put together. You always were. And we're going to talk today about her vision, what it means, and of course, how I have been a part of this beautiful journey and why I am so excited to share this with all of you. So that's what we're talking about today. Stay tuned. I'll see you inside. Hi, I'm Candace James. If you're ready to transform your life, to live with purpose, to experience more joy, to follow your dreams, and finally do what you've been waiting for someday or one day to do, then you're in the right place. Consider this your warning that you only live once, which is why I've spent the last 12 years using mindfulness-based tools to create and live my best life, traveling the world, becoming a published author, building a successful business, creating joy on demand, and helping others do the same. In this podcast, you'll learn that the only thing getting in the way of living your best life is your own mind. Join me to discover how to reprogram your subconscious and harness the power of your mind so that anything you dream in life can become your reality. Welcome to the YOLO Revolution. Welcome back to the YOLO Revolution with your host, myself, Candace James. It's a pleasure to be here with you once again. And I am so excited to announce to you our guest today, Akeisha. Akeisha is an advocate for joy in your life. Practicing a joyful existence herself, her life continues to be a place of ever expansion and appreciation. As an access bars facilitator, fascial stretch therapist, I screw that up all the time, but an owner of You Always Were, Akeisha is fusing her joys and modalities to offer the world a different option and future possibilities to create change internally and externally. Holy F, that's a lot. But Akeisha is here making today amazing, creating possibilities for all of us and shifting the way that all of us rebellious humans, I like to call us rebels, are making our way in the world and how we feel about that and all sorts of good stuff, which we'll dive into today. So welcome, Akeisha.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh, I'm so excited. And that's like the first time I've heard that back to me. And I just got really joyful because I'm just like that. Yes, joy. Yes, expansion. Yes, rebels. Like rebels. I love it. Thank you. I'm excited.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And you guys may have to bear with us if we start going a little off topic or we start giggling or dancing. Me and Akeisha have known each other since 2018.
19. Well, 18.
January.
In 18, like in BBD's like Facebook thing, like I would see your name come up, but then 19 in January when we both met in California.
Right. January of 2019, we met in California at the Business by Design live, BBD live. And I remember I had put up my hand to say something about something, and I don't even know. And Akeisha came up to, then we went to break and Akeisha came up to me and was like, I really loved what you had to say. And we started having this conversation and we ended up going to lunch at this place and sitting there and chatting our ears off. Then I was on her podcast. Then like, I've done some coaching for her. Then like, we've just created this super awesome friendship, collaboration, all sorts of crazy, cool stuff.
Yeah. And I remember how I had no idea why I was there. No idea. I had no plan. And fast forward, like what, 3 years, I've done so much. I've gone in different realms. You've helped me navigate, business things, relationship things, personal things. And then here I am bringing all of that knowledge, all of those experiences into this clothing line that I'm so excited for. And by the time we're launching this podcast, like I launched the line literally within hours. Like the Friday. So this is a Thursday we're recording this. It launches tomorrow. I don't think there's words to describe how excited I am and the energy that I have. I'm just like, if I had a bouncing wall and like cushions on the wall, I would be flying back and forth with excitement. And it's all because of like the accumulation of experiences, and like Candace has said, has been a part of, that have brought me to this moment. That yeah, I'm just gonna start there because I'm gonna go on a tangent. So yeah. Anyways.
I love that. Just before this, I was like, okay, we like to keep it between like 30 to 40 minutes. And Akeisha's like, well, I talk a lot and I go on tangents. So she rolled herself in. But yes, I love that. And it's so interesting, right? Like I was thinking about that today, about how meeting you back in January 2019, it was amazing. We had like such a good lunch. We obviously just like got in such a really nice, beautiful, energetic relationship right off the bat. And as soon as we came home, I was on your podcast talking about the difference between like self-care, self-love, self-compassion, right? What does all that different stuff mean? And that was my very first podcast.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I used to have a podcast and a YouTube channel, and that was really fun for me. And so to be on the other side of that now is actually really, really fun. But I listened to that episode like 4 times because I was asking those questions because I needed to know the answers, or I needed to learn perspectives, I should say, and like direction. So if I can find that episode again, I'll like repost it because it was a great conversation.
It was a great conversation. And I actually went back to find it recently because I was like, I was talking to somebody about this subject and I went and I realized it's not like online anymore.
It's somewhere in my hard drives.
Well, it was amazing. And maybe it can like live, it can renew its life here on the YOLO Revolution podcast
Yes.
or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Done. I'm doing that. I'll get home tomorrow and yes, I'm pulling it off the hard drive. I'm sending it to you because those conversations, like when I think back in this moment and why I'm here talking about You Always Were, is that self-love, like that actual authentic, I am doing this, I am making these choices for me, not for anybody else. And people will often say that that's selfish. Mm-hmm. And yeah, damn right it is, because I'm 100% responsible for my life. And at the end of the day, I need to be completely happy with it. So if I start making choices based on everybody else's like preconceived notion and try and fit myself into them, then I'm never going to be happy. And so like those conversations really helped kickstart that deeper awareness within myself that's then carried into like this line and the really core values that I think that I've, through a bunch of experiences and through what has happened in our world in the last 2 years, I am like 100% aware of like where some of my deep core values are, and like love and self-respect for my own self, that I am not willing to ever budge on them for anybody but me. And that's a radical thing to say. That's a revolutionary thing to say. That's a rebel thing to say. But we're on the YOLO Revolution podcast, so it's totally meant to be.
I love it. And I was actually working with a client recently around this word selfish, because we have, as a society, created this word selfish as a negative word. I'm being selfish right now. I'm thinking about me right now. Well, who says that we have to think about everybody else all the time? Because then what happens to us, right? We're out there just trying to fix everybody else, and we end up being so broken by trying to fix everybody else instead of us, and trying to be there for them instead of us, that we allow our health to go away, our mental health, our physical health, all sorts of things go to the wayside when all of a sudden you start people pleasing, basically, right? Pleasing everybody else, being the version of yourself that you think is what other people want. And then what happens is, if they're still never happy, and you're miserable because you're just being this like shell of a human that's like, well, I think I should do this right now, instead of like, I would like to do this right now. This fills me with joy. This is what I need to fill my cup. And so we actually worked on it, and I had her go away and like write a new definition of selfish. What is selfish? Every time selfish comes up for you, what does it mean now? And it's like, I'm taking care of myself. And that's it. And is that such a bad thing?
It's the most beautiful thing I think anyone can do from themselves, to be 100% happy with who they are, satisfied with where they're at, be eager for more. And like for them to take that on for themselves gives permission to other people in their life to do it. And then everyone starts being happy.
What?
I mean, such a weird concept to think about, right? Like, if I'm happy, that gives them permission to be happy, and then we're happy together, and then we're starting to like create like asks, not from a needy point of view, but like, this is my ask of you, and knowing that the responsibility is then on the other person to say, okay, yeah, cool, awesome, I can do that, or actually I don't have space for that at the moment, but I'm gonna like send you energy, and like I hope you can find someone to facilitate that for you, like, and then we're just happy people. And like, that's where I want to create my life from. And
talk about radical ideas, Akeisha.
I know, for people to be happy in the world and to create more from that.
Fucking radical.
Oh, I should be shadow banned. How dare I?
This might never air.
She said the word happy. Can't have it. But happiness from a self perspective is one of the highest vibrations you can have, but it's often taught that we have to do something to earn happiness. And it's your birthright to just simply be happy. And the more you can be that, I think your world just starts changing.
Yes, absolutely. And I've heard this recently, like, it's your birthright to be happy. And I think it's even more than that. Our natural state is joy. It's not even a right. It's not like anything. It's just like, when you come out, you're not like angry at people and whatever. You're just like, what's that thing over there? And you're just like having a grand old time. Like, we love children, we love toddlers because they are innately happy, right? Yes. And then what happens is the world crushes them down and says, you shouldn't be like that. This is wrong. That's wrong. This other thing is wrong. Don't do that. You can't have that. You blah. And then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, what's happening? So being unhappy is actually a learned idea.
100%.
Yeah. And it's like, so really, I kind of see it as like coming back to our true nature and releasing the shackles of like modern society and being like, screw all of this, and I'm just gonna be happy, yo. Like, I'm just gonna find out what makes me happy, and then I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do it, so that when I wake up each day, I'm like, sweet, let's do this, instead of like, oh man, like another day on this fucking rock.
Oh my gosh. I mean, talk about waking up. Your book that you wrote, Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life, and the program that you've created around that idea keeps sticking with me, and I practice access consciousness, and there's a saying, there's a phrase inside that, and it's, how can I outcreate my day or outcreate myself? And so I'd often wake up being like, or I'd often go to sleep with an intention to have a good day the next day, like regardless of what happened. You always talk about like, your day starts the day before. And so I'll go to bed and I'll be like, I'm really excited for the next day to happen. And then I wake up in the morning and I often say like, how can I outcreate this? And it's not about doing or having, it's about being. Like, and I will get like shit done that day, or I'm just like fucking happy because I'm just happy that the sky is clear, or I made an awesome coffee this morning and I'm like, damn, that's good. Like, those little things then contribute to the energy that you put out in your world. And then you start reaping the effects of that. So if anyone takes anything away from today, it's go to bed just saying to yourself, I'm excited for the next day. And then how can you like outcreate even that? Because then you just expand like what's possible for you. And like, I know your story around the whole like prioritizing the life that you were like dreaming about, like turning it from a dream to actualization, in a big scheme of like travel, but those can be like the simplest things in life. So
100%. And that's right. We get in this realm of like, when this happens, then I'll be whatever, or, I'll be happy when that happens, and I'll right. And I loved what you said when you're like, it's not about having or doing. It's about who I'm being. Who am I being in this moment? How am I being in this moment? Right. And this is such a key factor in like everybody. So I'm going to just go back for a sec. I wrote this in the book too. There was someone that said to me, it's unrealistic to just think that you can just be happy all the time.
I laugh at that.
And I was like, I would like to argue that. I said, if there's like some big thing, if like someone really close to me passes away, yes, there will be moments of grieving. There will be moments of that. But joy and grieving can simultaneously exist, right? We don't have to be sad and grieving. Grieving is its own thing aside from sadness, right? It's different. And so we can still be joyful while we are grieving, right? I've had some of the best parties after a family member has passed, because we get all together and we just share the joy of their life, of who they were. And like, we have such a good time. And like the party goes till 2 a.m. and we're like, I love you, Nana, and then we're just like still having a good time. And so this idea that it's unrealistic to be happy perpetually, I think is just the worst thing that can happen to human existence. Because we actually, like we were just saying, right? It's our innate being. It's the way that we are naturally. And we've been taught to be unhappy. And so literally, as you said, happiness is in every single thing. It's about how you perceive it. You can be like, I woke up today and it was a rainy day and now I'm mad because I wanted it to be a sunny day. Or you can be like, ooh, this means I get to put on my cozy sweater and work from bed today. Or like whatever it is, right? Like you get to choose. So I'm curious, what would you say is like when you have moments, and we'll get to this clothing line. I know I'm going derailing. This is what happens when like my friends come on the podcast,
I love it.
But it's like, what would you say is like, when you wake up and you're like, something happens during the day and you're like, shit, this sucks. How do you then transfer that into joy?
That's a really great question. And it's always shifting in the moment. So like, first and foremost, I recognize that I'm human and I'm experiencing emotions. What I have learned through practice, first reading about it, listening about it, really diving into like where are my judgments and bought programming lying from, and like releasing those, and like not looking at anything as like right, wrong, good or bad, like really taking it as kind of feeling shitty today. And like, so yeah, I'm like a human being first. I'm also a female that has cycling hormones throughout the month that I've learned also do affect things. But then again, I just start turning that marble and I ask, a lot of these things come from my, my learnings from like Abraham Hicks and law of attraction, but also a lot of like then tools that I've learned through Access Consciousness. And if anyone's ever curious about the tools that I'm talking about, like just go on to accessconsciousness.com or like YouTube Access Consciousness, and you'll literally find these tools everywhere in like podcasts. But shifting the perspective, like what else is possible here? What am I learning in this moment? Like I had a moment where like shit was hitting the fan and I was like, okay, I get 5 minutes to have a breakdown. I just let myself cry. I let myself get all like shitty. And then I was like, okay, what are my options here? What feels good? Do I need to just drop it and go do something else? Or can I ask some questions? And I think that's the thing. I ask, if I have to pick one thing, I ask questions. What else is possible? What am I learning here? How can I spin this? Like, there's a whole industry around spinning shit. Like, how can I spin something, when someone gives me an answer, or a response, I am in control of the choices I then make. And that is another radical thing. You have choice, but are you taking responsibility of your choices and actually consciously choosing something that will move your needle, whatever needle platform you're on, forward or in a different direction, instead of being like, it's all coming down on me. It's like, okay, well, no, it's not, but you're choosing to look at it that way.
Yep.
And like, choice is such a radical thing to also think about, but it is literally everywhere. You just have to put your blinders
Every
behind
single
you.
thing, every single thing is a choice. Every
Everything.
single thing. Like, and I love to just like really break it down. Like right now, I'm choosing to continue this conversation. I could get up, shut the computer, and walk away. Like I could do that. That would be one choice. The podcast episode maybe wouldn't be super brilliant, but you know, whatever. Like I could just stand up, shut it down, and walk away.
Mhm.
I could also stand up, not shut the computer, and just leave you here, and everybody could watch Akeisha's reaction as I just like walk away. I could do that too, right? Or I can continue to do the podcast, and that's what we're doing, right? Literally everything that you're doing is a choice. Literally everything, right? And you know, it was interesting, like, okay, so one, that's like the whole premise of the book that I wrote, right? Wake up to what you choose. Every single freaking thing that you do is a choice, yo. So you're either choosing to move forward or you're choosing to stay stuck, or possibly you're choosing to move backwards, which is like really brutal, you know? So, but you're choosing one of these options. You know, sometimes we'd like to stay in the same place for a little while and then move up and then stay the same. That's cool. I like to kind of like move on this, like sometimes maybe trying to move too fast. I think that could be one of my issues. However, I like to keep moving on a nice upward angle of choice, but choice after choice after choice after choice, right? Something you said though, I think is really important, is that first you're human first and you feel it. And I think we often forget when something crappy happens to like feel it. And I actually have a podcast episode on that called Constructive Breakdowns.
Yes, you do. And yes, I've listened. And yes, I've read that. And yes, I've done that exercise. So
I
if you
love it.
I need this, go do it.
Yes, a constructive breakdown, right? When you're starting to feel like, yes, we can't be happy all the time if we try to push down our emotions, when we try to push down the negativity, when we try to pretend that we're not feeling what we're feeling, then yes, we're always going to end up in a much darker, deeper place, you know? And I think it's important, like you said, to be human first. We have emotions. It's energy flowing through our body that's trying to tell us something, that something isn't right, something isn't okay, something, whatever, right? So we need to listen. We need to allow it to flow through. We need to pay attention to it fully. And then start asking the questions. Start saying, okay, what can I do from here? What did I learn from that? What can I do? What, you know, what is it? Like we have options, right? I can sit here and just like ruminate on how shitty I feel and then just feel shittier, 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 exponentially shittier. Or I can start to ask myself, how can I get out of this? So I love that. Thank you. I'm going to put us back on track here.
But it's such great conversation.
I know, but we have a purpose here because you and I would like to share this beautiful creation that you have created. Creation you've created, that's redundant, but this beautiful creation of yours, there we go. This magical vision, this beautiful thing that you have. And so it's youalwayswere.com, just so everybody can go there. You Always Were, and it is a clothing line, but it is so much more than that. So can you tell us a little bit about like what it is, what it means? I know this is a big question, but just tell us about it.
Yes. So if you're going to make this into a video or anything, let me just like pull my screen down so everyone can like see this beautiful artwork that came out of my mind through Candace, and now it's living on clothing. And I'm so happy with the company that I've chosen to create this work to get it to the world, because it's such a beautiful print. And that was one of my biggest fears, is that I was going to open my package and start crying and getting mad because they would like fuck up her artwork. But I opened my packages and I cried because it just turned out so well. So yeah, You Always Were started, if you didn't understand what the look of it is You Always Were a Unicorn. And it's a reframe on the saying black sheep in the family, or black sheep in society. Most people say I'm the black sheep in my family. And I was having these moments, little moments throughout my life, big moment in 2021. We all know what's been going on in the world. And I was aware of a lot, and I was having opinions, and I was sharing, and I was being vocal. And despite doing things against my knowing to appease my family and the world view, I had a moment where I said, this is fucking enough. Like, no more. For me, no more for me. Because I was hurting me. And I had this moment in that I was like, oh, fuck, I'm the black sheep of the family. And I went down a dark kind of hole. I felt very alone. Even though I was like connected to people that still supported me, I still felt very alone, because it's funny, with family, there's just a different connection. And I've never been so gaslit. And I think when I'm saying these words and I'm talking about this certain topic, I know there's millions of people around the world that are feeling me. But even more so, even bigger than that, is how many times in a plethora of topics, even a simple topic of just like people coming out to their parents, like the fact that we have to come out to our parents and we can't just always be who we are from the get-go, is still a weird concept for my brain, because I really just want people to love whoever they want to love. And if that's a man in a blue suit, wearing cat ears, like, so be it. But there is this conditioning of, when you don't fit the grain, you're the black sheep, you're the oddball out. But I had a moment with a client of mine. I was doing fascial stretch therapy with them, and we were talking, and I was kind of sharing. They asked me how I was doing, and I was like, I am in a dark space, and I don't like being in a dark space. And although I was like super happy, I was recognizing that I was still in a dark space. And I was like, I feel like the black sheep in the family. And they're like, you make good points, and I see where you're coming from, and I want you to know that, like, you're not wrong, and I support you, even though I differ from you. Like, this beautiful human being that like had his own thoughts, but also saw that like his thoughts are his and mine are mine, and they don't have to compete. And he was like, you're more than what this is right now. And I was like, you know what? I'm the fucking unicorn. I'm making choices that are asking bigger questions. And this beautiful human on my table is also making choices and asking questions. And we're able to coexist. And he was like, you make that into something, and I'm going to buy that. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. And then September hit, and in Canada, in BC, and I was just like, nope, this is it. No longer gonna like keep my voice silent. And I started to reframe the black sheep in the family into, I'm a fucking unicorn. And like that energy allowed me to voice things, and from a very open, I think, respectful, questioning, core value kind of like perspective. And then things started happening. I started telling people, and more people were like, I want that. I want that. I want that. Oh, I feel this. I feel that. That happened to me. This happened to me. And then I was doing something completely different, and I got the download in December. And then I was like, this is a thing. Like, this idea of a black sheep looking into a mirror, seeing a unicorn is a thing. And then the ball literally like rolled so fast. Contacted Candace because I wanted the energy behind the work to match the energy that I was trying to put out in the world. And I didn't want some just random artist to make it with me, because I truly believe the energy of whatever is out there is recognizable to the souls that it's designed for. And even if you don't agree with everything, but you have a connection to feeling this like disconnect in society, this different way of being, this design is meant to honor that in you. So then I messaged Candace, and like literally everything has been rolling so fast, even with the little glitches that have happened. Like I just like know the universe was like rearranging the perfect things for the perfect timing, and here we are today with a physical item.
So this is very exciting. And for those of you that are only listening, you will have to go check out the website, youalwayswere.com, because you can't see the beautiful sweatshirt that Akeisha is wearing right now. So I have to also add a little anecdote here, because when you asked me about this project, it was like the craziest timing for me. It was, and this is what I said, like way in the beginning of this, of this talk, is like, we formed an energetic connection, you and I, way back in January of 2019. And on October 27th, I think it was, or 28th. So not really a big difference here. Okay. October 27th, I had this visioning. I was just visioning at home by myself, you know, what I do on a Saturday night. And I'm just sitting there visioning about my life. And I had this like voice basically telling me that I need to start working on art, and something that I have been not doing for a really long time in my life. That I was 10 years old and my mom was teaching me about perspectives and shading and like whatever. We had a weekly Monday class, and like I just never really did anything with it. I felt that it was I actually talked about this 2 podcast episodes ago. I felt it was too personal. I felt that art was wildly personal. And Akeisha is also a dancer, so I think she can probably understand to some degree how personal art can be. But it was like, I just always felt like, I'm not as good as that person over there. And I'm not as good as this thing. And so I just can't do it. And I had this vision of like, no, you have to do it. And that you can actually do something with this. Like you have a different vision on how the world can be. And so not only can you have a podcast and a course and whatever, but like you can also spread that vision through art and visual representation of different things. And so I had thought of that. And then literally like, it was like 8 weeks, 6, 7 weeks later. And Akeisha like messages me. She's like, I saw that thing that you posted on Instagram and it's really cool. Like, what do you think about creating this thing for me? And I was like, I don't know. Let me send you like a random mock-up. And I did. And she's like, it's cool. Let's go with it. And so we did. And it seems like you have something to say. No. Oh, she just unmuted her microphone. I was like, she's ready. Yeah, it was just this beautiful creation collaboration. It was like, she told me what was in her head. And it was the first time I'd actually ever, maybe not the first time, I'd done like random things, but like not for something like that, like actually a project I was working on with someone and taking their idea that was just, you know, is words and ideas and feelings inside of someone's brain and putting it onto like a piece of paper. It was a really fun experience for me. And I was so glad that, like, first of all, if you don't know this about me, my 2 favorite things in the world are unicorns and skulls. Okay. So a bit of an interesting combination, but like unicorns and skulls are my jam. And so like the fact that it was even partially a unicorn, like I was like, this just felt so aligned. And so I just feel so grateful, so honored to have been able to help put that from mind vision to piece of paper. So just thank you, Akeisha. That was such a great, fun collab.
Thanks. I mean, I asked the universe that to show me the path and the people that I was like meant to work with, and to continue for it to be easy and fun and exciting and light. And every single person that has touched this, the project has been easy, fun, light. I'm totally meant to be. Communication's been really great. Designs have been on point, and it's only going to continue. And that's part of like the vision behind the company, like moving forward, is to continue to create with people, to create more in the world. Like, this just isn't because I want to create a company for whatever, like, business kind of idea. This is because I want people to really love, like, this is a representation of like who you've become to be. So at any moment that you feel like you're a unicorn, or you're like being the black sheep, or like you don't fit, but you've gone on a journey to find your tribe, find your happiness, find your whatever, be the unicorn that you are, like, this is for you, to have a representation. And like, who knows, I want to like meet all the people that like buy this around the world, because I'm just want, like, I want to hug you and just like share that I see you and like create more for you. And who, like, where can this go? Like, I'm already in talks with like a secondhand person, like she buys secondhand stuff, and I have this idea of like, you're really great at sourcing things. Let's source stuff so that it's more environmentally friendly, but then let's like put this on it, so
I
that
see this like on the, I mean, oh, a leather jacket would be hard, and not a real leather jacket, but like a pleather jacket, because I'm a little, but
yeah.
right, I could see that like right on the back, like
Oh,
bitches
I'm thinking
what?
jean jackets. I'm thinking like, um, I'm like, oh, I love fanny packs. Like, how can we get creative that's earth friendly,
Reusable shopping
collaborative?
bags.
Oh, use, oh my goodness. The possibilities are endless. But like, how can I just continue to create like good in the world, and really find the people that are also, thinking, can I say, that have some thought about like the direction that they're, back to this, choices are making in the world.
Mhm.
Like, from the future that you want to create, you have to make choices today. So if you're making shitty choices, you're going to create a future that has that energy. So like, you can switch it at any point, but I really want to work with the people and celebrate the people and connect with the people that are making choices, that are putting the energy into the future of like this vibrant, abundant, connecting, loving, kind, like humanity core self, into their vision for the future. So like, the possibilities, back to that, are endless, which is so exciting. But it's also a baby of mine, and it's just like, I really hope the world likes it as much as I do, because I'm in love with it. And like, I know no parent likes someone else's child as much as they like their own. So I get that. But I hope people just find joy in these items. And like, yeah.
Well, I gotta tell you, like I've been sharing your posts and stuff on Instagram, and I reached out to like a few friends who had been interested when I said, "Oh, I'm creating this thing, and it's for this project, and blah 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 blah." And like, I'm like, "Oh, well, tell me, when it's around." So I reached out the other day and I was like, "Hey, just FYI, like, sign up to the mailing list. If you do it before X day, like you get special bonuses, whatever." And they're like, "Oh, I'm already on it, and I love it, and I'm so excited." And I was like, "Oh, sweet."
Nice.
And I've had people reaching out being like, "Holy crap, that thing is cool. Like, that's amazing." So, I think, and as for myself too, right? I think as stepping into the role of like artist, versus just like, marketing and coaching and doing all these different other things, that feels a lot more, the word might be strategic, although it's very intuitive as at the same time. Um, but this is like a different side, right? It's this personal vision, what you've created, what I create in my own, like my art store is coming up at the end of the month, right? Like it feels very vulnerable. Like it feels scary AF sometimes. Like, holy F, I'm putting this out there. Like, this is a lot. And um, a friend of mine said something to me recently. And when I was like having a moment of being like, "Oh my God, it's going to be crazy. I'm so scared." And I was like, "What if they don't like it?" And she said, "Is it really art? Is it really expression if everybody likes it?" And I
Mic
was like,
drop.
And I was like, exactly, right? If everybody likes it, it's like, it's a tulip. I mean, everybody loves a tulip to some degree.
Yeah, but I hate drawings of tulips. I don't need another
Right?
tulip drawing, but that's my perspective. And those are my judgments.
You know how many
And
houses I walk into and there's like a painting of tulips over there? And I'm like, cool. You do
yeah.
you.
Yeah, but that's the beautiful thing about different ways of expressing. Because how often do we go into like a path of career that's like you just keep building in that path, but you have all these other things that like expand and create. And can they actually, can all of it, can all the creations that you're creating be contributing to one another in some way? So like I'm a fascial stretch therapist. That's my main source of business and I love doing it and it makes people's bodies feel great. But then I really like access consciousness. So I'm a bars facilitator and I can do, delete shit from your brain and change your perspective and your judgments, which led to me getting over my judgments of myself to put this out into the world. And like that just expands endless possibilities. But we get so like, oh no, I can't. And it's like, yeah, but you can. Like, what if you just say I can more often than not? Just like flip the switch.
100%. And when you were talking about that, right? We get in this place of I can't, or what if I fail? Or what if somebody judges me? Or what if, right? What if? All these what ifs around like, oh my God, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if, and it's like, great. So you do nothing. So you just sit there and you do nothing because what if it doesn't go perfect? And I'm going to tell you right now, everyone, it never goes perfectly. I'm going to repeat that. It never goes perfectly. Okay. So there's always going to be hiccups. There's always going to be something. And it's like, what do you actually want? Right? Do you want to just continue doing what you're doing all the time? Or do you want to go out in the world and create change and create a difference and do something that makes people feel good? And it's not always easy. And sometimes it's not fun.
But here's the thing, even though it's not easy and it might not be the thing that you lights you up, you can still choose to have joy.
You can.
You can still choose to say, this is really fucking hard. How can I make this easier for myself? Like that's a choice. That's a question. In the moment, I don't like setting up websites, but when I was setting up my website, I was like, got the music on, I was eating popcorn, drinking wine. I was like, I'm getting shit done. I don't know what this like system is. I'm like, Facebook's not letting me do shit. I'm like, I let myself have some moments of like anger at the computer, but then I was like, but look what I'm doing. This is really fun. So like, again, back to your question, how do you be happy when shit's hitting the fan? Choice.
And wine and popcorn.
And don't hurt no one.
I actually really wish that we lived closer together because we could have wine, popcorn, and tech nights together, which would be pretty
Okay,
rad.
but like, what else is possible, like in the world? Even from literally just launching this, my possibility of like what I thought was possible for me has 10 times expanded. So the idea of traveling to meet people and share the world through You Always Were, these beautiful human beings that have bought the items that have amazing things going on in their life, like I can create a whole podcast, a whole YouTube channel. Like what's possible? Like I could create something that allows me to go and travel and do fun things with the cool fun people who are liking this cool fun thing. And
always step number 1, please.
Yes. So like, yes, we will have that. I have put it in my vortex. I have put it in my future. The energy is flowing and we will have wine, popcorn, and tech nights.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Everything is possible when you choose that it is possible. And just to what we were saying right there, where it's like, it's not always easy to go forth and do what you want to do, but it's also not easy to stay in the place where you are and where you're feeling disgruntled with life and when you're feeling angry and you're feeling bored and you're feeling lethargic and you're feeling all these things because life isn't lighting you up. That's not easy either, bitches.
That's really hard.
It's really hard. So that's not easy. So why not at least have a not easy time doing something that lights you up inside and makes you actually feel pretty rad about what you're doing in the world?
Mic drop after mic drop.
All right, Akeisha, we have gone over our time limit. I knew we would because we just would. But thank you so much for sharing your beautiful creation. We are going to link up the website and everything down below in the show notes so that you can grab that. Check out this beautiful creation and follow Akeisha at You Always Were on the Instagrams.
You Always Were _clothing. I had someone took You Always Were.
At You Always Were _clothing on the Instagrams. Perfect. Anything else you want to share? How people can get in contact with you? Anything fun? Whatever. What's your last few words? Because we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, so if you want more joy in your life, you can check out my personal Instagram at Akeisha DeBaat. I've got a new website coming, so you can find out how to like collaborate with me. If you think that you want to collaborate with the clothing line, reach out to me. And also shout out Candace when you get your clothing, because she's been a part of this and it wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for her. Check out all her shit that she's got going on, because like I've learned a lot. And if you're listening to this podcast but you haven't checked out things that she has, I know she gives a lot of stuff out for free, but like invest in you being more of you with the tools that she's given that's out there. So yeah, hit up Candace's stuff because it's amazing and it'll change your life.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to have you on this show. I'm so excited for this launch of this product. By the time everybody's listening to this, it will have already launched. And so you can go on over to the website, you can grab your stuff, you can buy it for those people that you know are like super feeling like, you know, I think a lot of us sometimes feel like we're alone when we're not following the main narrative and we're not following what everybody else is saying we should do, how we should be, what, you know, how we should spend our days, all that sort of stuff. And so I think, and what we should think, that's a big one these days. So if you know people like that, if you are that person, go over, grab the clothing, share it widely, and, you know, rock up to those family events being like, I'm a unicorn, bitch, not a sheep. What?
Yes.
I'm a unicorn, bitch, not a sheep. Okay. All right. Any last words, Akeisha, before we pop off?
No, thanks for having me. I love all you humans, giving everyone listening a energetic hug, and I hope to see your faces in person very, very soon.
Cool. All right. Until next time, everyone. Peace always. Did you know the number one thing holding people back from achieving their dreams and living their best life is their own mind? Or more specifically, the fears that your mind has created. I believe that in order to live your best life, you've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. That's why I've created a brand new audio program entitled Find Your Courage. I want to show you how to think, act, and behave like the powerful human you were meant to be, so you can finally live a life of fulfillment, passion, and joy. And the best part is this program is yours absolutely free. To register right now, simply visit CandiceJames.com/courage, and we can get started right now.